pulling into Jetty Park Campground. We're like right on the edge of the water, which is going to be awesome. There's supposed to be, we'll see if it happens, our SpaceX Starlink launch tonight. We're going to see if we can check it out.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Just got done with our trip over to Jetty Park. Pretty awesome place. I recommend it from the beginning of the video. Turn it off now. You should go check out Jetty Park. Its official name is Jetty Park Campground and Beach. It's in Port Canaveral, Cape Canaveral, and it's about 4.5 miles of beachfront inside the port. 150 campground sites, tent, RV, and then they had like 8 of the cabin styles. And if you camp there, you get 24/7 beach and pier access. So the park closes actually at 9 p.m. for everyone else, but if you're camping there, you get a little gate code. You can go through to the port side to access all that. They do have a brand new campground store and lounge area with coffee and everything else in a camp store. And pets are allowed in the campground, just not on the beach or the port side. They have, you might have heard of Port Canaveral. It's the busiest cruise port in the world. Typically, they sail away between 4 and 5:30, and then sometimes ships come in that morning. You'll hear their horns, that's for sure, from the campsite. But some of the regular ships you'll see is the Disney Wish, the Disney Treasure, and the Disney Fantasy ships, as well as the Royal Caribbean Icon of the Seas. It's the world's largest cruise ship. Wonder of the Seas, Utopia of the Seas, and they had the Carnival Mardi Gras and Carnival Vista being a common visitor. And then we also got to see the MSC Seashore, I believe it was, or the MSC, one of their ships. But yeah, you can see the ships from the camper, and obviously get much closer, which is cool. Their horn blasts are very loud, and you can tell when they're getting ready to leave or coming in. Usually nights they come back in between 10 p.m. and midnight, depending on the ship.
Place is evidently pretty hard to get into. We just happened, lucked out. My wife kept checking while we were going to be down by this area. I was able to, I think there's 3 or 4 nights. But today's the first day we're here, and we may just luck out to be able to see a launch. SpaceX is scheduled tonight to launch Falcon 9 rocket and putting Starlink satellites up in the sky. I think 29 of them in a low orbit. Hopefully it doesn't get scrubbed, because we get to walk out, I guess, on the fishing pier on this side of the beach area and have a pretty good view of the launch, so fingers crossed.
And then also they've got the other thing that makes Jetty Park really famous is it's on Space Coast, right? So it's rocket launches and things that are happening at the same time. You can view the Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral pads. A few different SpaceX pads, NASA pads are there. We were fortunate enough to see a rocket launch, and as a night launch, we lit up the sky. It's pretty awesome. And I think they say go check out the end of the jetty or the north end of the beach for the best. A lot of people went over to the fishing pier at night when we were there, so that's where we headed over to check it out. But you can use a few different apps out there to track this if you're going to be staying there. There's one called Next Space Flight. There's a space launch schedule app, and then a Kennedy Space Center app. But check out some of those free apps, because you can keep track of some of these rockets are scheduled during a window to launch, but they, depending on the weather, sometimes they get moved back, or they're going to start later than they originally thought. You can keep track on the app, so you're making the show. As we came in, it was pretty cool. We drove over a nice bridge into the port, and when you drive into the campground, our RV campsites are pretty open to the sky, so we did not have any trouble with Starlink. And there's some trees and shrubs separating, but not a lot of tall trees to block your view of the sky. And our site was not huge by any means. We had enough room. Side to side, it was a little bit bigger, I guess, but we did have a concrete pad, and I think we paid $51 per night to stay there, but that was with full hookups with water, electric, and sewer, 50 amp electric. One of the things about this place too, it's actually owned and operated by the Canaveral Port Authority. That's the same government entity that runs Port Canaveral, the cruise terminals, and the cargo port. They have cargo ships coming and going as well. They did not have paved roads in the campground where we were. They were more of a gravel sand mix. Not a huge deal unless you're walking back from the shower house with wet sandals, and that's a way to pick everything up on your way back in. And then they had a camp store I mentioned earlier. It's brand new, like within the last year. It was very nice, and they were dog friendly. I think it's the first one we've been to that they encourage you to bring your dogs in. Some of the employees there gave Lily all the love she desires, and we went up there a few times with her. She could get a treat and see the workers. She tried to actually drag me up the ramp to go back to the camp store even after hours because, well, that's where she wanted to go, I guess. And then they also had so the main campground areas where we were, and they have full hookup sites. They're probably not all full hookup, but they have full hookup. And then there's the inlet side where you can camp as well, which was really, really cool. But I think they just had water, so you had to provide your own energy or electric, which we could probably have gotten by. The weather was decent, and we probably could have got by with our battery and solar and an inverter system. But they also don't allow dogs on the inlet side, so that was a deal breaker. But if you don't have dogs and you don't need power, the inlet side is pretty cool because you're that much closer to the cruise ships and the launches and everything right from your camera. Not that we weren't far, but you're even closer. And there's other parks out there that aren't part of the campground, right? So I think they're in the process of building a playground and maybe a different store over there on the port. And they had gazebos and picnic tables and places to hang out on that port side as well. So the first night we saw a SpaceX recovery sheet. Right when we got there, we wanted to walk over to the port recovery ship. I'm sorry, it was coming in, and pretty cool. We checked out the fishing pier while we were there, and the beach was popular even at night. So there's people running around over there. Then we came back out to the inlet. The same night we got there, there was a scheduled SpaceX launch. The Falcon 9 was going to go be putting up Starlink satellites, which was cool because we use Starlink, and we love using Starlink. And it was we just lucked out on timing. I'd like to see one in the daytime. The night footage is cool, and it definitely lightens up the sky like crazy. But I'd like to see one in the day to see the difference in the launch. And then we were supposed to, like 2 hours later, there was supposed to be a Atlas V launch. We were gonna get like a 2-for-1, but we went out to the pier. Not many people were there for the second launch, and then they ended up about 40 minutes after. They kept pushing it back, and then they ended up scrubbing it for some type of fuel issue, unfortunately. And then I think it might have supposed to be scheduled the next day, and it got scrubbed for the same reason. But yeah, it was cool. We got to see SpaceX launch, and while we were there, we could have had bad luck and not got to see any of them, so we were pumped. A little bit of wildlife at the campsite. Some small lizards were running around, some birds running around the campsite. We saw more wildlife on the port side. I'll get to that here in a minute. They did have laundry facilities near the camp store. I walked through them, but we didn't have to do laundry while we were there, so I'm not so sure how good or bad they were. But the restrooms and showers were clean. They were serviceable. Other than, like I said, walking back with wet sandals, the shower itself was fine. And then, so the wildlife on the inlet side of the park, huge birds. They had these huge birds that were walking around. I didn't know what they were. We didn't know what they were at the time, and wanted to look them up. But I understand that they're what they call a wood stork, and we've actually seen a lot down in Florida since we were at Jetty. A wood stork, and they would walk all around, and pretty cool, kind of a pterodactyl looking face to it, and pretty big wingspan.
This bird keeps hanging out, walking around different people. I'm not sure if he gets fed, but he's humongous, black and white. Check this guy out. He walked around every time I turn around a few times. He's like 5 foot away from me. I was checking out some casino cruise ship just rolled into port.
And then one afternoon, we even set up school and work right there on the picnic table in the inlet, facing the port or facing that water. I got to see a lot of cool boats and wildlife that day as well. The wood stork was really friendly that day. He kept coming over, probably trying to get fed, I'm guessing, from the human traffic there. But you'd turn around, look behind you, and he'd be standing like 3 feet away. Not a predator bird, obviously, but it was a large bird. But they were neat. Not something to see. And then I mentioned earlier the cruise ships that we got to see. The first one was the MSC Seashore. It looked brand new, but it was pretty awesome. Obviously, these are huge. Captain Obvious statement, right? These boats were huge, but we know cruise ships are huge, but I think until you see one in person or up close, it was pretty surprising how large they are. They had a deck top party going off on the way. It's like a celebration leaving port. People were jamming, and DJ was running up top, and that was neat. But then the next one we saw was the Explorer of the Seas. And this thing was awesome, and their horn was so loud. They had a really cool, I think because it was such a large boat, they had to have escorts. So there was multiple tugboats escorting them out front and back, and they were shooting their water cannons kind of in a display, an arching display. It was really neat though, and that ship was very grand. We did see a paraglider one morning over the beach. I'm not sure the rules on that. So this place is very anti-drone. You better not even think about putting a drone in the air with their launches and the ports and all that. But this guy was found flying a paraglider. I don't know how that works, but he seemed to be having a good time. And then we had more cruise ships, continue during our stay. It was just kind of nonstop. We could actually even see them from inside this camper and looking out the window here. And they were that close, and you'd hear them hit their horns before they took off, and then you could walk out and get a better view if you wanted. But it really puts into perspective just how large these cruise ships are and how close the campground is to the inlet to be able to see all this cool traffic that we got to see. The Disney cruise ships were really cool. Their horns played some type of tune or medley. I'm assuming Disney song. I don't know if I got the audio on, but it wasn't just a normal horn. It was playing a jingle, if you will. And my son, he now wants to go on a Disney cruise, of course, so we'll see about that. But we did walk over and checked out the beach before it got dark. Cruise ships were leaving, so it was pretty cool. You kind of see them go off in the distance. We caught a SpaceX barge coming in with the booster strapped to it that was from the launch that we got to see, so that was awesome. It was just timing wise. There's always something coming and going, so go hang out by the inlet or by the beach and you'll see a lot. And like I said, we use Starlink full time on the road, and technically they put in, I think, another 30 some satellites in the sky with that Falcon 9 launch, which is improving our speed of our Starlink dish, so pretty awesome. And then I think on Saturday, it was really nice. We wanted to go back to the beach. Great weather, very popular beach. Saw more cruise ships that day. I don't know, 5, 6, 7 coming and going. We found my wife found some sand dollars, and another Disney port cruise left port that day, I think. And a lot of surfing. So not in like huge ways, but this is definitely the busiest beach I've ever been to that they in terms of surfboards and bodyboards. Everybody was there, had something, and I mean, it looked like they were riding the waves a little bit further out, but it wasn't anything huge. So I'm not sure if it's just how the inlet hits, and it's just, I'm not a surfer, if it's just good riding, but it was very popular. But I think overall, must-do place if you can. I think it's pretty hard to get into, but just keep checking the website for cancellations if they're booked. We will definitely go back. I mean, I think with the beach yards away from the campground, the entertainment from all the ships coming and going from port, along with the rocket launches, I mean, it's action-packed. There's just something constantly happening, which is pretty cool. But up next, we continue our journey further south. We head over to Sebastian Inlet State Park for some fun. I'm working on getting that one out next, and hope to have it soon. If you're still with me on this video, I appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.
we're just eating lunch. We're still in Orlando, and the parking lot here at Whole Foods, we had an online order. We checked in to get our groceries, and my wife, they only let you get 99 items on the online order, and that includes like each apple, each pear, it counts as one. So we weren't able to get everything we wanted. So my wife had gone around the basket and was grabbing a few things. And then we checked in, and then like, it couldn't have been 10 minutes. She got an alert that they were putting our groceries away because we weren't there to pick them up, which we were. We were just getting a few more items. So I ran up to the front of the store to talk to the lady, and they were able to reverse it and put the things back in the cart. So my son and I are pushing these two carts, heavy carts, outside, and we're parked on the outside of the parking lot with the truck and trailer. And there's security strips in the parking lot, and they lock up the shopping carts. We were just going around to our camper, which is still in the parking lot, and I essentially had to carry the front ends of each cart while we shuffled through the busy parking lot to get to the camper. So funny story, we made it, but I think they should probably put their security strips a little further out so we can reach all the parking places. Anyway, I guess, what are you going to do? I don't know.